Jerry Douglas was known to some as the godfather of gay porn. And though Douglas wore many hats as a novelist, playwright, and theater director, here we will celebrate him as a gay porn director, film historian, master storyteller, and mentor to many figures in the gay porn industry today. On tonight's episode, we're going to celebrate Jerry Douglas, who aside from being a legendary filmmaker, was also a critic of hardcore films and videos, treating them as serious as any other film. As a historian, Douglas almost single-handedly produced an oral history of gay porn from the 1970s to the 2000s. This is Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped to get off. Before we continue, I want to once again remind you to help this channel by clicking the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, and selecting the bell icon for notifications to see more content like this. Jerry Douglas was born in Des Moines, Iowa on November 15, 1935. After graduating from Drake University, he attended Yale School of Drama and eventually moved to New York, where he got small gigs on and off Broadway working for a theatrical agent. He would go on to stage manage off-Broadway shows and eventually begin directing. Douglas wrote several plays and had them staged on and off Broadway, including Score, which was later made into a film starring Casey Donovan, directed by Ridley Metzger, and Tub Strip. It was around that time a business associate asked Douglas if he'd ever consider making a porn film. Up until that point, Douglas had not thought about it, but after some consideration, he felt like it was the natural progression. Douglas's first film was called The Back Row, starring Casey Donovan and newcomer George Payne. Casey Donovan at the time was riding high on the fame from Boys in the Sand. The Back Row is a film with a documentary-style approach that focused on gay subcultures. When The Back Row opened, it had a long and successful run at the 55th Street Playhouse. His next film was a bisexual feature called Both Ways. One of the things that may be lost in Douglas's filmography is his 1975 film Both Ways and the significance to the portrayal of bisexuality. Both Ways shows us an honest look at male bisexuality during the 1970s sexual revolution. The film centers around a married father who tries to find balance between family life and the relationship with his male lover.
You think we'll ever see each other again?
I don't usually come back for seconds.
Ever?
Never.
That's cool. It's probably just a phase I'm going through anyway.
With Douglas's writing, the film goes on to become not only a hardcore film, but also a character study of the lead in a sexually complicated situation. Some have called Both Ways a companion film to Douglas's Score. And Both Ways has recently been updated and released by Vinegar Syndrome. Douglas made 3 films in the early 1970s, but began to experience issues with the movie theater owners who were at times tied with the mafia. After the release of this film, Douglas lost the rights to Both Ways when his financial backer illegally sold them. At that point, Douglas decided to give up making erotic films. While working for a magazine packager, Douglas thought of a magazine that would eventually become Stallion. Douglas served as the editor of Stallion until it closed 6 years later. From his editorial and critical position at Stallion, Douglas would closely observe the developments and trends that were shaping the gay erotic entertainment industry. Douglas mostly covered the world of commercial gay porn production and interviewed porn producers, directors, bringing his critical writing on porn a historical perspective. He would also begin to conceptualize the history of gay adult entertainment and define its major achievements, its periods, and its progress. He started Man Shots magazine in 1988, a film review magazine specializing in gay pornography, which not only featured naked men, but in-depth interviews with porn stars, as well as behind-the-scenes people like Recluse director Matt Sterling and All World founder Rick Ford, both notoriously shy of the press. After a decade-long break, Douglas returned to making adult films. Dirk Yates, who ran All World Video, coaxed him out of retirement after Douglas negotiated royalties, final cut, and model Tim Lowe as the lead for the film. A few days later, pre-production began on Fratrimony. From that moment until 2007, Douglas would go on to direct roughly one film a year. Douglas's films always involved a thoroughly thought-out script. Even the sex itself was scripted. Douglas worked with studios and superstars of the day like Rick Donovan, Mike Hudson, and Joey Stefano. Douglas would deal with many of the gay erotic tropes we would all come to know and fantasize about, and frame them in a critical and sometimes controversial way. Whether it was gays in the military in Honorable Discharge, a father coming out as gay in Family Values, brotherly love in Fratrimony, basketball players, and closeted celebrities. One of his most celebrated films, More of the Man, stars Joey Stefano as a gay man who struggles with his Catholic faith. As a director, Douglas worked with countless studios including Cult, Studio 2000, Odyssey Men, All Worlds, and Sierra Pacific, to name a few.
And whenever I begin to work with an actor on one of my films, one of the first things I ever say to them is, now, our job is to turn you into your professional name into the character, so that's written on the page. You have a 3-step process in moving from yourself to your professional self to the character. And so often, these kids will fall into the trap of thinking they are, say, Ryan Idle, or Jeff Stryker, or Ken Riker, or whoever.
On January 9th, 2021, Jerry Douglas passed away in his home in New York City after a prolonged illness. Jerry Douglas was 85 years old. Douglas was one of the most important figures in the adult gay media world, with a long and passionate career as a playwright, author, director, screenwriter, journalist, ardent theatergoer, film watcher, and raconteur. Many directors of his day were anonymous, many were filmmakers, but few like Jerry Douglas were auteurs. Douglas's films stood out for their attention to detail and complex themes. Through his films, from his first in 1971 to his last in 2007, Douglas revealed his original vision of hardcore filmmaking. As a historian, Douglas compared the early days of gay porn to the silent era of filmmaking, a time when many of those producing and starring in those films during those crazy, chaotic first days would not have envisioned their work to be a study of a specific time. Fun fact, in 1970, Jerry Douglas wrote and staged Score, which we know was made into a movie. But during the off-Broadway production of Score, the actor who played Mike, the telephone repairman, was a young Sylvester Stallone. When it came time to shoot the film, director Ridley Metzger did not cast Stallone because he thought he was too ethnic and would not fit into the European sensibility of the film. You've been watching Demystifying Gay Porn. I am your host, Ike Grande. Demystifying Gay Porn can be found on every podcast directory as well as YouTube. Demystifying Gay Porn is on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, Discord. And if you like what you're watching and want to be a part of the process, head over to patreon.com/demystifying gay porn, where you can help support this channel and I can continue making content like this. Once again, this is Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped to get off. Cheers.